Hello everyone, it is Friday, January 17th, 2025, and I am here at Epcot. Whoa! I'm off to the side of the entrance plaza to get away from people, because I don't want to be that guy waving their phone around. I was never really cut out for vlogging. But today is the first day of this year's Festival of the Arts, which I'm very excited about. This is my favorite time of year to come here, and a little more saddeningly, is that a word? It's the last day that my annual pass is valid. I've been a Disney annual pass holder for the last 9 years. It's been a big part of my life, and I'm letting it go. But before I let it go, I am here to spend another day. And I thought it would be fun to document myself just going around today. I don't really have all that much time because I have to work this afternoon, but I'm here for the morning. I'm just gonna basically do my last lap around Future World and maybe try and get a little bit of time in World Showcase, just because this place means a lot to me and I'm gonna miss it for a little while. And I don't want that to sound dramatic, because it's not like I'm never coming back here. In fact, I'm not even like getting rid of my annual pass for good. I don't know when I'm gonna get another annual pass. It would not surprise me if it was like 6 months from now, but I have no plans. So this might be my last time this year for all. No, it could not be this year, because I'll be back here for Test Track. But I don't know if I'll be back here with an annual pass or not. But since it's going to be a while before I'm back here, I thought I would reminisce a little. And this is a view that truly never gets old to me. If y'all remember back before 2019, they had the Leave a Legacy monoliths here, and they were extremely ugly. I hated them. But they got rid of all those, and they added these planters and these flagpoles, which I wish they did the palm trees, but you know, the flagpoles are a decent substitute for the palm trees. And added the fountain back as the big one, the acrylic pylons. But this area, I've always loved it. It's only gotten better. With the changes they've done to this park, they've done a lot of bad things. This entrance plaza remodel is not a bad thing. In fact, it's probably the best thing they did, if I'm being honest. But just taking a moment to stand here in front of Spaceship Earth, it's incredible. I love this park. Of course, I couldn't start anywhere but Spaceship Earth. This is my favorite ride here, so gotta start it out. Or gotta start out with it, I should say. I have this tradition, it's been going on almost a decade now, where every time I ride Spaceship Earth, I take a selfie with, or every time I ride it with someone new, I take a selfie at the load platform. So today, that's y'all. Imagine yourself here, or Photoshop yourself in, I don't care. But Spaceship Earth. Another thing I like to do on Spaceship Earth is bring my headphones with me. See Figment AirPods case. Because you can still play the Walter Cronkite or Jeremy Irons narration on the ride, and most of it syncs up. And I prefer that heavily to the new narration. So I'm gonna do that right now.
All systems are go. Linking you now to your guide.
In ancient Greece, the spoken word was elevated to a fine art. Philosophers debated with one another in plazas, and storytellers found a new forum for personal expression. We now have the ability and the responsibility to build new bridges of acceptance and cooperation between us, to create a better world for ourselves and our children as we continue our amazing journey aboard Spaceship Earth.
One of many small details that I love in Spaceship Earth, like hidden things, is right in the back of this infinite star room is a remnant from the original show. You cannot see it on this footage because it's so dark. But in the 1982 show and the Cronkite show, there was a space station right up here, you cannot see it, with an animatronic astronaut inside of it. And the remains of her are still up there. But the whole space station has been painted black to blend in, and it's obviously still really dark in here. So yeah, you cannot see it. I'll put up a picture. so that you can understand what I'm talking about. And then the rest of the descent here, since 2007, it's been pretty boring. It's actually just gotten some love recently with all these fiber optics that were off for the longest time. And these neon tube lightning bolt effects in here, I really love these. Those were installed for the 1994 version of the show, and they just came back recently. And after this scene, you see where you wouldn't see the curtain here, but there's a curtain here where there would be different show scenes. And up, you still can't see it, goodness. But right when you get past those lightning bolts, there's plywood cutouts of Dr. Knapp's graduating class that would have been projected in a Pepper's Ghost effect over here. All left over from the 94 finale, which is still back here behind this curtain. If you've ever wondered where to look, there's your answer.
Amazing new technology that we happen to know about.
And I never pay attention to this screen. I'm always staring off into space. Right here is where the fiber optic city would have been in the 94 show.
And now
It's just triangles now.
Just about ready. Let's take a look, shall we?
Welcome to the future. Or should I
Whoa,
say,
it's me.
your future.
I realized while on Spaceship Earth, because I was fumbling over my words, this whole thing is unscripted, if that wasn't obvious. I also have no equipment other than my hand holding my phone. So I am winging this whole thing. It's probably going to end up messy because of it. So please bear with me. And another thing, you might ask yourself, who exactly is this video for? And I don't really think it's for anyone. If anything, it's for me, and if it's for anyone specific, it's for my friends that I've made along the last 9 years, just bonding over this park. And I think I'll probably end up talking about some of them as I walk around the park, because the whole idea here is to just reminisce about the last 9 years and Epcot and my experience here. And this video is inspired by Leonard Kinsey's Goodbye to Epcot, or whatever it was called, that he did like over a decade ago. But I haven't watched this video in a while, so forgive me if this is misremembering. I'll put a link to his video in the description if you'd like to watch something similar to this. But he went around the park and was basically just going up to different pavilions and was like, it sucks, it sucks, it sucks. And he's not wrong. He's really, truly not wrong. This park has gone through so much, and a lot does suck now. But I'm gonna try to avoid that whenever possible, or at least be nicer about it. Not because it's not true, but because I feel like it's not necessary. If you're a real, like, classic Epcot fan, you know this park's in rough shape, and you really don't need the reminder. And I don't think my commentary of, oh, this sucks, is really going to do anything. Like, yeah, it's been said. What else do I have to say? So this video is more about me and Epcot than it is about Epcot itself. And I'm sorry for this awkward angle. Project Tomorrow is more crowded than I think I've ever seen it. This is the only empty area I could find to film in. You see, it's packed. But yeah, it's probably gonna be pretty hard to avoid saying, oh, this sucks, in a lot of different places. But that's not the point of this video. I feel like I'm rambling at this point, really, but I hope you get it. If you want to hear me talk about how much such and such is a terrible decision for the park and how such and such sucks, just DM me on Twitter and I'll talk your head off. But this isn't about that. But Communicore Hall, that does suck. And what they've done to Wonders, that sucks. And how they've shoehorned Guardians, that... Okay. My first Epcot memory that comes to mind walking around was in Project Tomorrow. When I was really little, like 12. I was walking around in there taking pictures, and this very kind old man, cast member obviously, came up to me and was like, how would you like the VIP treatment? And I'm like, VIP treatment? Would I? And I thought he was gonna like take me into the AT&T lounge, which he didn't. But he took me through the VIP entrance to Spaceship Earth, which is just through these doors. It's a little corridor onto the unload platform, and then you get taken in there. It's truly nothing special per se, but it was special to me. I thought that was an awesome little moment. I got to walk the special path, and that guy was really, really cool. I really appreciated how he treated me because I was just a kid in awe of the place, and I think he could tell that I was a huge fan and that I would appreciate having a unique experience. And I most certainly did, and that has still stuck with me all these years later. Speaking of said lounge, there's some landscaping going on here in front of it, but there's work going on in there now to convert it into away from a corporate space, which it hasn't been in since 2017, and into a guest space. It's like a little bar area, I think. And I'm really interested to see what they do with that. It looks like they've recently replaced one of the windows. It kind of sticks out. And they've blacked out these ones over here, so I wonder if they're replacing them too. The interesting thing is, the east entrance to Project Tomorrow has been walled off because of that. But the lounge entrance is on the west Project Tomorrow entrance. So I'm kind of confused as to what they're doing there. I obviously won't be sticking around to see until after the lounge is already open, but it's neat. The whole garden area here, I have a lot of mixed emotions about. It's adequate. It doesn't really feel like Epcot to me as much as it feels like a really upscale college campus.
Yeah.
There's the Walt Disney statue here, which I, again, have mixed feelings about considering the park really resembles something he would have wanted less and less. What really gets to me here is not any of this, because it's fine, it's pretty, there's some cool seating areas, but not seeing the Fountain of Nations here really breaks my heart. I remember I was here for Epcot's 35th anniversary, October 1, 2017, and I stood outside the Fountain of Nations with my mom, and she leaned over to me and was like, take this in now because by the 40th it'll be unrecognizable. And I don't think either of us really thought about how serious that would be, how drastic the changes would be, because it really is unrecognizable now. It's really nice to see they've restored this Communicore. It's got its something that resembles its classic paint job at least, and all of the windows are back to being open. But then what they've done over here, I'm gonna bite my tongue, but you know what I'm thinking. But overall, it's fine. It's adequate. Shockingly, this is a better plan than the one that they announced they were going to build in 2019. So it could have been worse. I think that should be Epcot's motto anymore, is it could have been worse, because it almost was. But those are my thoughts here. I'll have more about the new Communicore, I'm sure, later, but it's going to be hard to talk about it without saying, the S word. But I'm going to head over to Future World East now. See you there. There's this cool little sign, I guess. I wouldn't really call it a mural, stuck onto this column in the Communicore with Figment on it, which is cool. I look forward to seeing what they do with this every year. This used to be where the big Communicore marquee was, then it was hidden by plants for years, and now it's back open. They do a Pride mural here every year, which is really cool. And I remember either last year or the year before, they had Smart One, the old Communicore robot, on the wall here. And that's just one of my favorite things about coming here for Festival of the Arts, is just seeing all the cool new stuff that people make. I really like all the different Figments here. I think that's awesome. And I'm pretty sure Connections is closed because they open at lunch, I think. Yeah, they're closed. It's just the Starbucks that's open. So I will just saunter on through. This area used to be Innoventions, which, God, I could talk your head off about Innoventions too. I wrote a whole big thing about Innoventions' last day and how big of a deal that was to me. And I'm not going to rehash that. I'll link the article in the description if you want to read it yourself. I have a lot of mixed emotions about this area. I like the skylights here. I like this little ramp because you can use it as a shortcut again. I like the interior design of the restaurant. The food quality is significantly better than Electric Umbrella was. As far as interior design, I think I liked Electric Umbrella more, but Electric Umbrella was stuck in the 90s, and it needed to go as much as I loved it. And I think this is a perfect little blend of 80s Epcot feeling and modern feeling. And I think that's kind of what they were going for the whole like park overhaul. It worked better in some areas than it did in others, but I like Connections. There used to be a second floor, not here, but back here, because this area was Innoventions, then there was a divider there, but they got rid of the second floor. And I feel like that was kind of a silly move, because that could have been extra capacity, and they moved the restaurant into attraction space to make up for the loss of that second floor. And I think they should have just kept the second floor there and kept the rest of Connections, or Innoventions as it was, as attraction space. But you know, they thought differently. I think they just really don't like the idea of doing small exhibits anymore. So they got rid of Innoventions and made a bigger restaurant. Whether or not that's a good thing, it's really up to you. I think the original Innoventions business model was really genius for Epcot, but I don't think it's something that the modern Disney company will ever do again. And I totally understand their reluctance to do a similar attraction. They were going to put a collection of smaller exhibits type of attraction into Wonders of Life, and that didn't really pan out. They gave up on that a few years ago, but even that wasn't going to be the same. It was a significantly different approach to the same kind of concept. I'll probably swing by here again just to talk about Innoventions again, because I feel like I really glossed over it, but I got some decent points in, I feel like, about how I feel with how they've redeveloped this building. Moving on to Test Track. This closed last year, and they've been working on transforming it for its third incarnation. And Test Track 2.0, I feel like, is an attraction that does not get enough credit. I seem to shockingly be one of the very few people who thinks that it was an improvement over the original version in every single possible way. But it's closed now. Some people celebrate that closure. Some people mourn it. I feel like I'm one of the very few who mourn it. The new version of Test Track is supposed to be inspired by World of Motion, the original attraction in Epcot's Transportation Pavilion, which I'm really excited about. I'm trying not to get my hopes up about it because I feel like it's going to be less than they're actually saying it's going to be. But it's interesting. Another lovely thing here is, and I'm sorry for the awkward angles, I'm trying to get away from people because I feel obnoxious waving around a camera. Truly was never cut out to be a vlogger. But there used to be this ugly, awful, like wire type canopy up here, and they built that when World of Motion closed as a covering for the Test Track Preview Center. They had some cars because the Trans Center was closed, they had some monitors talking about Test Track, and they had this structure to cover it up. And it was supposed to go down when Test Track opened in '97. Test Track did not open in '97. And so it stayed up for a couple more years until Test Track finally did open, and then they never took it down. So it was there throughout Test Track 1.0's entire life, 12-year lifespan. Then they redid it for 2.0, and they still didn't take it down. So a lot of us had kind of accepted that it was just gonna stick here for good, and it sucked. But then when they announced this third version, they finally got rid of it. And I understand the need for a canopy, because in the World of Motion days, this little alcove here was open air, that was shade, that was air circulation. So greeters would be in that alcove, and that would be their protection from the elements. But when they enclosed this, it's kind of necessary to have some sort of covering for the greeters. And so that's exactly what they're doing here. They're building a new canopy, but instead of an off-the-shelf temporary structure like the old one was, this one is purpose-built. It's smaller, thankfully, so you can actually see the building. The old one really obstructed the building. And it's purpose-built to complement the architecture of the building, which I really love. You can see how it like curves here, and you can't see it because of the wall and this awkward angle, but it slopes down into the old World of Motion alcove. And I really like that they're doing this. I think they're gonna do this one right. It's the one Disney project anywhere that I'm looking forward to the most right now. And even if they don't get it right, it's still gonna be Test Track. It'll be fun, it'll be fast, and the tarp is gone, so the building looks nicer. And Test Track is really one of the very few things left at Epcot that really embody what the park was supposed to originally stand for, and that's because GM still funds it. They still give it money. None of these other pavilions have their original corporate sponsors anymore. But very much looking forward to what Disney and GM have put together here. Now, Mission Space. Yeah. Mission Space I have very little to say about. Good or bad, really. It's just kind of here. It's not my thing. I appreciate that it at least tries to be like an Epcot attraction. That's one of the last times they really tried to do that, I think. But it just kind of falls flat for me. It's fine. Not really big on simulator attractions. Rest in peace Horizons, obviously. I've been working on the Horizons recreation for Futureport 82 recently, which has given me a renewed appreciation for what that building was, and also a renewed sorrow for the fact that it's gone and replaced with this. Only really Mission Space memory that I can think of is in 2011 I came here on a school field trip, and my classmates were really hyping this park up. Like, oh my god, you could get rocketed into space, you can build your own roller coaster in Innoventions, and you can go into a car testing facility. And I was like psyched because this place sounded like the biggest place on Earth. And I really liked Mission Space then. I only ever did green back then. But that's really the only fond memory of Mission Space that comes to mind. Then they built the restaurant recently. God, not even recently. That's been several years now. But the restaurant is cool. I've been there a few times. I think the restaurant is kind of the highlight of the whole building, which is a little sad. But the restaurant is also separate from the building enough that I have hopes that eventually they'll take this whole thing down and put in a proper space pavilion. Will they? Probably not, but we'll see if we get different management at some point that maybe sees that as a priority. At this rate, the ride has been here since 2003, which makes it just a little older than Journey into Imagination. It got changed in 2017, but that was really just a graphics update to the Mars mission, and they did an Earth thing for the Green Team. So it's, I think they see it as new. It's really not. It's essentially the same thing that it was before. And I think that probably means we'll be stuck with it for a little longer when they should really address it sooner. But Epcot also has bigger problems than Mission Space right now, so I do not blame them whatsoever for thinking Mission Space is a done deal. We don't have to touch it for another 20 years. Because truly, if we were going to spend 20 years on Epcot, there are bigger problems to take care of. Much bigger golden problems. Wonders of Life. Where do I even begin about this thing? Let me first of all say, before I even start talking about Wonders of Life, as you see people walking around here, I miss when this area was dead. Because back when Universe of Energy was closed and Wonders of Life was obviously closed, nobody came over here. This area over here, this used to be a smoking area, then they banned smoking in the parks, then people came and smoked here anyway because nobody was around. But as you see people walking in and around, nobody used to be around here, and I really miss that. Where I'm standing right now, this didn't even used to be a pathway. This used to be dirt. And there was a bench right there. But they blew this whole thing out, and now it's another walkway because Guardians is now a magnet for people over here, which means there's no area for me to find without people in it to film. But that's okay, it's a theme park. I'm not worried about the people. I just miss having a nice quiet area. But Wonders of Life. I could spend a whole video talking about Wonders of Life. This building has introduced me to many people that I hold near and dear to my heart, people that I held near and dear to my heart, people that I've met before over a shared love of the building and have just lost touch with. If one of you are watching, I miss you. Reach back out. But I've always loved Wonders of Life for what it stood for. I got warm fuzzies all the time thinking about how there is a building here dedicated to how cool it is to being alive. And Of the classic Epcot pavilions, this is really one of the weaker ones, but it's always been the one that spoke to me the most. And I think part of that was just because it was extremely late 80s, early 90s, with the Memphis design and the simulator, and just the fact that it felt like a museum exhibit, which a lot of Epcot did, but this did more. They had a lower budget for Wonders that they stretched a lot further. And it was mostly just smaller exhibits with Body Wars and Cranium Command being the anchors. But back in 2017, I started a project called the Wonders of Life Archive, and it's on Twitter. Hopefully someday it'll be somewhere else, but it's just on Twitter at the time of making this video. And it's been a research project where I've been trying to catalog everything about Wonders, because back when I started it, there wasn't really anything out there about Wonders. There was anything you wanted to know about Horizons, because that was the thing people cared about. But no one really cared about Wonders in a looking back type of situation back then. So I started digging around, talking to people who worked on Wonders, talking to people who had been there and taken pictures, and I've gotten quite a bit of resources on this building. And back when it was open for the festivals, one of my favorite things to do was to just walk around in there, even though there was nothing to do really. It was just an empty building. But I'm kind of sad that you can't do that anymore. And it's been like 5 years since you've been able to. But if I could do one thing today that I'm obviously not going to be able to do, it would be walk around Wonders again. And it's sad in there now. It's just an empty shell. They were going to build what they called the Play Pavilion in there, which was an indoor play area for kids. People thought it was going to be more than it was. It wasn't. They finished gutting the building. They didn't do anything outside of that. It's just an empty shell sitting there. At night, you'll see some blue tarps illuminated, and every few months, somebody will go post on Twitter, "Oh, that's the city projection." No, it's not. It's floodlighting shining through a blue tarp that's on the door. They mothballed this building so hard. It's been 18 years since the last time it was open, 21 years since it closed to operate seasonally. And they have completely sealed it off from the park. It's just a curb all the way around. I'm trying to... There we go. I don't know how to work my hand when I'm looking at my phone screen. But nothing's gonna happen here for a while. The last construction permits for in there, even though no work has happened in a while, they expired a couple weeks ago. So it's just sitting there. I hope that eventually they'll do something to it other than tear it down, but I think that's all they're gonna do at this point is tear it down. And of course, I would be remiss not to mention Buzzy. I hope that someday we hear more about him, find Buzzy and the likes. I've droned on about Wonders for a long time now, so I'm gonna stop. But that's another thing. I will talk your head off about Wonders if you'd like me to, because I have so many memories in this building. I could not reasonably fit them all in here. But it's time to move on. Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. Boy, is this an attraction I have opinions about. If you have ever talked to me before about Epcot, I've probably brought it up. I really hate this. The fact that an intergalactic military organization is now at the very peace and humanity forward focused Epcot. I think that's really awful. The optics of that are terrible. And I get that it's like a nobody cares type of thing because it's fictional, it's Marvel, it's popular, but it really does not sit right with me. And there's a little plaque over here on the planter that says like donated to Epcot for peace. That's stupid. It's very stupid. But nevertheless, this used to be Universe of Energy. I loved Universe of Energy a lot. In 1996, Universe of Energy got an overlay to feature Ellen DeGeneres and Bill Nye, and that dated it really heavily because they never did anything with that after 1996. That operated until 2017. It needed to go really badly. You will have no objections to me when you say Ellen's Energy Adventure was dated. It needed to close. It did. They did not need to build this here. This is an attraction that should have gone at Hollywood Studios if it went anywhere. Universe of Energy, I feel like, had really good bones in it. It was one of Epcot's stronger shows. It got a bad reputation because it ran a really bad one. The animatronics in the diorama section, really awesome. they were breaking down and got removed at the end because there was no maintenance budget and no one cared and no one came to ride it. If they would have installed a new show, one more in line with the 80s one, though perhaps not as boring because the 80s one was really dry and it would not hold up today, I feel like this would have once again been a popular attraction. But they took the easy way out. They wanted Universe of Energy gone, they wanted a coaster at Epcot, and they wanted Marvel at the Florida parks. And so they killed 3 birds with 1 stone and built this. As a ride, it's fine. It's a roller coaster, it's fun. You'll hear no objection from me. But it's really a travesty, all the devastation that it caused to the park. And perhaps that sounds dramatic, perhaps it is. But this attraction is what killed Future World because they realized it does not fit in Future World. So they gerrymandered the whole park, and now this is like World Discovery. I think that's silly. But I will not call it that. Not really even out of spite, but just because muscle memory. This is Future World to me. It's never going to be anything else. And also partly out of spite because I think it's dumb. But Universe of Energy memories. I was here on Universe of Energies last night, and that was the night where there was a battery failure on the first pack of cars going back into Theater 1, and that knocked the whole ride down, which was haha funny, energy ride out of energy. But they walked us out of the diorama, they gave us like 10 minutes to walk around with the dinosaurs. That's my favorite memory of Universe of Energy. And then it took them 5 years to build this, which was insane because Test Track was previously their longest project in this park, and that was delayed by like 3 years. This only got a delay of 2. And part of that was because Guardians 3 was so behind schedule, and people want to blame it on the pandemic too, but it was going to open in 2021 still. That was a 4-year period. The park only took 3 to build in itself, so it's just insane to me that it took this long. And the interior of the building is totally unrecognizable now. They gutted the whole thing, and that frustrates me too, because this is the energy building. It's just a queue for Guardians now, and also load and unload and the beginning of the launch. But energy was a huge facility, and the queue inside there is really small. So it feels like they wasted so much space, and I'm sure there's some sort of logistic reason. They wouldn't have just gone in with the idea of wasting all that space. But it's so frustrating that one of the biggest facilities at Epcot is now just a queue for a roller coaster. But I feel like I've rambled on about this for longer than Wonders now. And notice I haven't said anything sucks, just disheartening, stupid, all that. Not sucks, staying away from sucks. But all that said, I have a virtual queue for Guardians, which is insane that it's still on virtual queue too. And my boarding group was just called. And because it is a roller coaster, and because it's one of the better things to do here, even if it's not a good Epcot attraction, I'm going to go do the roller coaster. So I'll see you inside the Galaxaria. When you first walk in here, you go into a blank wall, then with this marquee for the Wonders of Xandar Pavilion, which is the beginning of this incoherent narrative they've made up for this attraction. It's a fake World Showcase Pavilion, but in future worlds, and for a planet, not a country. But this used to be where the big mosaic Universe of Energy mural was. You used to enter in the center and then come out here and around. They've swapped that to where now you hit the wall and you go towards the center. And then there's this little thing here, the From Our World to Yours, that feels very reminiscent of how you would enter Horizons. And then there's the admittedly pretty cool planetarium part of the queue. This was their haphazard, yeah, it's educational, it fits at Epcot type of thing. And I do really like this part of the queue. It unfortunately kind of falls apart after this.
Hundreds, even thousands of tons.
And lucky for me, the line doesn't appear to be very long right now.
Many of these stars grew hotter and denser until they exploded, creating new stars in a cycle that lasted more than 1 billion years. Andromeda.
One of my favorite Guardians memories was I came here the day it opened, and I met Zach Ridley, the former portfolio executive for the whole Epcot project, and he was very obviously there to do PR. And I talked to him, and he was, it felt like talking to one of his Instagram posts. He was very obviously fed stuff and just was not talking like a regular human would. But then later on, he came back to Guardians, and he was obviously off the clock. And I was right behind him in line, because he got in line just like any other regular person would, which kind of shocked me, because you know he could have gotten the front of the line pass. But it was fun to listen to him. It was him and another Imagineer just waiting in line, and he was like explaining all of the stuff in the queue. And then when we got up to this room up here, where there was like, you know, the Peter Quill talks about classic Epcot, that scene played where he's joking about, I can't wait to ride Horizons. And then Zach Ridley had like leaned over to the person he was with and was like, see, this joke is funny because Horizons is gone. He can't ride it. And that just became like an inside joke between me and one of my friends. Was like, it's gone. He can't ride it. And yes, he was just explaining the joke, but the line delivery of it was so funny. I will never forget it. It's gone. He can't ride it.
When it comes to feeding our population, our vast agricultural wonders of Xandar.
This part right here.
Well, that was totally my idea. And Epcot, too, because I love that place. It's awesome. I went there as a kid, and I mean, I cannot wait to get to go back and ride Horizons. Also want to see the energy, dinosaurs, and, of course, hear the veggie fruit. It's the best. Can't wait.
But he can't do those. They're gone. He can't ride Horizons. It's gone. He can't ride it. How could he ride it if it's gone? I'm on the load platform for Guardians, and it's almost completely empty. You know why? Because I was in the first holding room for 20 minutes. I don't know what happened, but the cast member at the load platform said that they sent like 10 trains empty. So it must not have been down. I don't know why we were stuck in the holding room for so long. But time for a ride. I hope I get a good song.
Be right behind you.
Nothing to worry about.
Unless we cannot stop this unusually large man.
Dinosaurs here.
You're gonna need it.
Whoa, what's that song? Whoa. Did you know the song? The song is the energy song. Whoa. Oh, this is good.
I think we're jumping back.
Hell yeah, best song.
Get that generator. It's the only way back.
Down on you. Down on you. Hey, I think my hair might have gotten a little messed up. But I Ran, that was a good song to close out on. That's my favorite song on Guardians. Pros and cons, but I love the new symbols. Not the handicap signal, the pavilion icon. I don't think they use them as much as they should, but you know, they didn't really use them much in the 80s either. I think going up and downstairs is a really silly way to exit a ride. I get that you have to go over the unload platform, but or not unload platform, the return track. But that's honestly the least of my complaints with this ride. I forgot going through the queue how poorly designed it is. Because when you go into that second pre-show, everybody floods to the wall. And it's not even just the flooding to the wall, it's the bottleneck that comes after that. When you just slam into another wall and then it's a narrow hallway. Obviously, I don't really think there's a way around that because that's just structurally how it was put up. But everybody has it in their head, oh, that's the wall where you exit out on. So everybody floods over there. But that means everybody who's flooded over there misses the pre-show. And after they miss the pre-show, it's a mad dash where you're like fighting for your life to get down that narrow hallway to the load platform. I think whenever Guardians eventually closes to become something else, I feel like they're going to re-engineer that, or like do a Seas where they just build a hallway straight through the theater. People get it in their head with pre-shows too, that they're waiting in line watching something when if they could skip that, they could get to the ride faster. And obviously that's not true because the pre-show is just the line in a different form. But I think that screws with people psychologically. People don't like the pre-shows. I think it's just going to be a straight queue whenever they do something else in there. I think Guardians has a lot of merit. It's a really fun coaster, but it has a lot of problems that I don't think people talk about enough. But I am outside Cool Wash now, going towards Creations. I'm gonna take a look at the Festival of the Arts merch because I don't actually know what they released this year for merch. I have not paid attention to it. But Creations, whoa. Never mind, I am not going to Creations. I guess there's a line because of the merch drop. I don't care that much. I guess this entrance is closed. The Breezeway entrance is closed. You have to go in through the Central Plaza. So I'll take a look, I guess. But if there's really that much of a line, I don't care that much. I'll keep going. Do not care enough to wait in line for the opportunity to look at merchandise that I might not even want. But now I'm going towards the other side of Future World. So I went around and there wasn't much of a line really, which is funny because Creations is also basically empty. That's why I decided I would come in here anyway. I like this little ornament. It's cool. Kind of freaky, but you know, I like Figment merchandise. I love the way he looks here. That's awesome. Nothing I've actually seen that I would be willing to purchase so far though. There's a lot of cute stuff, just not necessarily appealing to me. It might not seem like much, but I'm really happy to see like actual park branded merchandise, like Spaceship Earth pattern, flower logo, little figurine of Spaceship Earth, Epcot logo hat, Epcot logo shirt, Luminous hoodie, I think. And it seems like the most basic merchandise they would sell, but they never used to sell like Epcot merchandise. Back when this was Mouse Gear, it was just the most generic Disney merchandise ever. And, well, I'm not gonna buy any of it now because if I want any of it, I already have it. It's just nice to see it actually offered because they're treating the park as its own thing, at least as long as they can monetize that. This mug, I don't like how it's just the ugly popcorn bucket proportions, but on a mug. I appreciate the sentiment though. I don't know if that is new for the festival or if that's been here. Ears obviously aren't my thing, but these are cute. God, I really am getting the obnoxious vlogger experience. It's day one of a festival and I'm videoing merchandise in the gift shop. Everybody thinks I'm the jackass this time. This is awesome. Too bad I'm not getting paid for it. I feel like every year they have some new, like, cute gimmick thing. I don't know what the hell a mini mix it is, but I guess this is the one they're doing now. Fascinating. Cute. Test track has been closed now for 7 or 8 months. I think it might be time to let go of these. But they also had Harmonious merchandise here for years after that stopped. I really like these pins. I don't think they're new for the festival, but they're neat. The Spaceship Earth one's cool. I don't really look at the pins very often because they hardly ever release something I like unless it's like a park anniversary. These are interesting. I see they no longer have they still have the Play Pavilion logo for World Celebration, which 1, it never got built. 2, that's not the right part of the park. I don't think anybody doing their merchandise really knows what those symbols mean. They just stick them on there. I really like this magnet. How much is this magnet? $15. Yeah, we'll come back to that, maybe. If it were like 10, I would get that, but even that feels like a lot. Disney magnets aren't really the greatest quality, and it's a lot of money for a magnet. sadly, I'm not really seeing much merchandise that I'm interested in. These pass holder shirts, I really don't like pass holder shirts that just have pass holder like plastered all over it. It doesn't highlight Figment, it doesn't highlight the park, it doesn't highlight the festival. The big focus is pass holder, and that makes me feel like a walking billboard, and I don't like that. So yeah, sadly, I don't think I'm going to be getting anything. It was nice to come in and walk around, though. I like this shop. I'm one of few who really didn't like Mouse Gear. It was kind of tacky and over the top. And you might like that if you like Disney, but if you like Epcot, it never really fit in here. It had the whole like steampunk Gears thing that kind of fit with Innoventions, I guess, but I never really liked it. These little Figment bags are cool. Yeah, I think I'm heading out of here. Space Mountain thing's cool. Farewell, gift shop. For what it's worth, I really like the new breezeway directional signage. It's a shame there's not another breezeway to have them in. I think it's really funny how they obviously left a spot blank on this sign for Wonders and then never got to put anything on it. I like that they have the actual pavilion icons. I like that they're using the new park font. They should really do that more. I'm not really going to complain about this because I'm happy they're just using the icons at all, but I'm kind of sad that the current World Showcase icon is so basic when the old one with like the person was interesting. I get that this fits the whole new, like the icons are a little thinner, but oh well. It would be cool to see the old one in use again sometime, maybe like on throwback merchandise or something. I feel like the vagina planter jokes are kind of overdone at this point. But coming back here, yeah, they probably could have designed that a little better. I like that this whole area, even though the lights don't work anymore, it's the old flower emblem. I think that is one of the best things they've done with this park, is bring the flower emblem back in full force. Though it's weird, as happy as I am to see it everywhere, it also makes me sad to see it attached to like the Moana walkthrough thing where it doesn't belong. But that's a trade-off that I'm willing to accept because eventually the Moana thing will be gone and hopefully this park will be back to a better state. And these little shade structures, I guess, I don't know what they are supposed to be, but I like the little shapes on them. Someone said it's supposed to be like a 2007 Innoventions reference. I don't buy that at all, but it kind of reminds me of all the different brightly colored shapes you'd see in Wonders. And goodness, Communicore Hall. This sure is something. I have a love-hate relationship with this mural. There's Mickey and Minnie in their classic Epcot spacesuits. There's the land, there's the Horizons, Pegasus, there's Wonders behind him. You can't see it really because of the angle, but there's the LGS 250 from Body Wars up there. And Horizons, the Butler, Mission Space behind it, Old Living Seas. And like, it's really cool to see all that, but also it's kind of a cruel reminder that this park used to be better. And I don't want to go down there and be like, oh, it's so bad now, it used to be so much better, because that's just not the theme I want this video to have. But it's hard to avoid talking about that, especially here in the Communicore, which I've not been in here for what they've done for the festival, so maybe it's better. I doubt it. Okay, I have very little interest in the Broadway stuff. As far as like being a fan is, I think it's really cool that they do it. I would like to go see one of the Broadway shows sometime, but I don't really care about there being an exhibit here. But this is actually the best I've ever seen Communicore Hall. It looks passable, which is not something I thought I would say. And of course it's day one, so everybody's around here with their cameras, and I'm just contributing to a bigger problem. Oh, the photo op is cute. Yeah, I don't hate what they've done for this festival. I hate the building, but it's cute in here. This is actually a decent little passable exhibit. It's upsetting that it took them this long to get it looking decent, but yeah, decent. I love that they have posed Figment to look like his old performing arts look with his tux from the original ride. I think that's awesome. They redress this Figment all the time, and I guess this is what he's wearing for this festival. This is embarrassing. There's really no better way to put it. I could say that it sucks, but I think embarrassing is more apt. Not even whatever performance is going on. I have nothing against the performers. They're doing a great job. But the fact that they built a stage here, and they built another stage behind it, and the viewing area's not covered up in Florida weather where it's going to be rained out constantly. And none of that is even my biggest complaint, because they stuck this in the middle of Future World when this is World Showcase entertainment. I very highly dislike the Communicore Plaza, which is a silly name in itself because Communicore Plaza used to refer to the whole center of the park. But I really don't like this. This is somehow the better plan. This is because they were going to build like a multi-tier festival center here. That was a terrible idea. I'm glad they didn't do it. This was their contingency plan, and the contingency plan sucks, but it doesn't suck as bad as what we almost got. So, once again, Epcot, it could have been worse. It's unfortunate that they took down the whole West Communicore building, ruined the symmetry of the plaza, and what they replaced it with is essentially a worse version of the original building with a stage. And the stage, it's better in the daytime. In the nighttime, when they have a DJ set up here, it ruins the ambiance of Future World. I really, really, really hate it. I came here a couple weeks ago, and because there was no festival going on, they were playing the 40th Beacon Show, where they play like all the classic Epcot music, and I was on my way to World Showcase as that show started. And so as I crossed Communicore Plaza, I was hearing them play We Go On from Illuminations, Reflections of Earth in the Central Plaza. And then as I walked closer to this area, it just got drowned out by the DJ playing whatever pop music. And I don't want to sound like a boomer and be like, oh, these kids having too much fun. But it's just ruining the experience of coming to Epcot for something that you can get at any local mall. Like, it's not, you're paying a premium for entertainment that you can get anywhere, overshadowing what used to be something that was exclusive to Epcot. And that is just extremely disheartening to me. I think building this is, and I might get some hate for this, but I think this is the biggest mistake they've ever made for this park. Because I can understand stuff like removing Horizons. Mission Space is a thrill ride that brings in more guests. It's cheaper to operate. Getting rid of Imagination, cheaper to operate. And they still have Figment in it, so people still go ride it. But this, it's just, they took a perfectly serviceable building, took it down, to build a worse version of it with a stage that ruins this whole area of the park. And it's, I don't want to be Leonard Kinsey saying everything sucks, but this is indefensible. It's, I'm not gonna say it, but you know I'm thinking it. Another thing that makes me sad is where I'm walking right now used to be this nice, cool little indoor hallway where back in the Communicore days it was to actually walk between exhibits. But being real, the West building was never really very well utilized. So it became more of just like a relaxation place, and Disney even leaned into that for a little while, putting up chairs and a cool little Epcot timeline in it. And it was underutilized space, yes, but it could have served a better purpose had they taken back all of that extra floor space, and they didn't do that. They took the whole thing down. I really miss having my little chill out area. That's gone. And that seems to be a common theme around not just Epcot, but the parks in general, is they want to take the like cool down chill spaces down. And I get that from a business perspective. You want to monetize more of your spaces, but it's nice to have little areas where I can sit and relax and just take the whole park in. And I really miss that old Communicore Hall. Not to be confused with Communicore Hall. I hate that naming scheme. This is something that really shouldn't even be associated with the original Communicore. I feel like it cheapens the Communicore name. But I'm rambling again. I'm going towards Imagination now. You know it's day one of Festival of the Arts when the line for Journey into Imagination not only goes out the door, but into a switchback outside the door. I will not be riding this today because I'm not waiting in that line for Journey into Imagination. The Magic Eye Theater has, for about a decade now, just been showing Disney and Pixar shorts, which I think is a really silly use of the space when that's something that, when it opened, you could just get it on Netflix, but now you can get it on Disney+. So who would spend their time waiting to watch it here? This used to be Captain EO, then Honey, I Shrunk the Audience, then Captain EO again. But the lobby area used to be one of my favorite places, as we were talking about chill zones, because it was a nice little chill zone. But when the original Communicore closed, they moved the Mickey meet and greet from Communicore and moved it in here, and he met right here. And when they did that, they blocked out these windows. And Mickey's gone now, I think, because they moved him back to Communicore, but his meet and greet space still seems to be here. But they never unblocked the windows, and that makes me sad because that was the appeal of this area to me, was the windows, and most of them are blocked out now. So we won't be staying in here. Despite everything, I really enjoy the jumping fountains here. This whole area is one of those spaces that I feel is still classic Epcot feeling. I love just people watching here. I love seeing kids have fun. I love feeling the cool breeze coming off the water. I love looking at the water jumping. This is just a very special area to me, and I'm glad that it's still kicking all these years later. It's kind of sad when this has become one of the better offerings that Imagination has to offer. And over on this balcony, there used to be a great view of the old Communicore. That's obviously gone now. It's just the stage. So I guess if you want to listen to a show, if someone interesting is ever playing here, but you don't want to go down there in the crowd, you can just stand at this balcony. But not my thing. Another thing I don't like, talking about, I feel like open air windows is a very big Epcot thing. The old Communicore had those. The new one, it's just a solid wall. And I get why they did that, because they want a festival flex space, they want to be able to control the lighting. Monorail! But it makes me sad to see another one of those spaces die, especially after on the East building, it already had everything covered up for Innoventions, and they took all those coverings down, and it looks beautiful now. So that just makes me think about how much better this area could have been, but it's water under the monorail beam now at this point. I hope that someday they will come back in and they will fix their mistakes, but I think that will take quite a while. Behind me here is the old Kodak VIP Lounge, which is now a Future World Operations office. One of the few VIP lounges I've never been in. So Epcot friends, if anybody happens to know a way to get me into the Kodak lounge, I'm just teasing y'all. I've heard that lounge is very boring anyway, so I don't really care all that much that I haven't gone into it. And even if it's been somewhat unfortunate what's happened to the inside, I still like the architecture of the glass pyramids here. Maybe someday it'll get cleaned, and maybe they'll paint the red and orange back to the purples and blues. But I think I've covered all my bases here, so I'll head to the land. Another great thing, a few years ago they shut down the land's music loop, which was the last one in Future World unchanged from opening day. And they replaced it with, they took it down along with the Innoventions loop, and they replaced it with that like Spotify inspirational music loop. And then that got replaced with the proper Epcot soundtrack that they're now using for all of Future World, which I think that's kind of sad because each of these pavilions used to have their own musical identity. Now everywhere except the land is playing the same loop. But anyway, I digress. Then they turned the loop back on, I believe by mistake, and then it got turned off again a few days later, and they put the park-wide loop in it again. But everybody online was talking about how much they loved this loop being back, and then like a week later, they brought it back, and it's been back ever since. So I'm happy this loop is still here, I think it's really cool that that's another just special element of Epcot that's sticking around. I wish the other pavilions still had their loop, but a win is a win. The land is already the best pavilion at Epcot, really, basically, because it's the last one that really lives up to what Epcot is supposed to be, and it just keeps getting stronger with stuff like this. But I'm gonna go in now and see what the line for the boat ride is like. The line for the boat ride's a little long. I don't know if I'm gonna do it today, which is kind of sad. But while we're here, let's talk about Awesome Planet. This used to, originally when the park opened, this was Symbiosis, which I will openly admit was dreadfully boring. It was the most boring thing at Epcot. It was the thing network TV parodies of Epcot wanted you to think Epcot was. Then it got replaced by a Lion King show, which was okay, I guess. It stayed here for way too long. Then that show closed and they abandoned the theater. And now it's an actual interesting environmentalist type movie. And it's a classic Epcot style attraction in the 21st century. And this film is how I know a 21st century universe of energy would have been kick-ass. But I'm thankful that we just got this. And also they have not updated the Harvest Theater at all since opening day. So you can see it's very aesthetically dated in here. But I love that, that's okay. It feels very classic Epcot. It feels very the land. And it's also one of the few places left in the park because the overhaul claimed some more victims, where you can still see the old signage here. Like the doors open automatically sign with the old font. And my favorite, the old school World Bold exit signs. They're awesome. Anyway, I'm gonna watch Awesome Planet. If you'd like to join me, you can pull it up on YouTube and pause this video, watch Awesome Planet, and then come back to this video. Bye-bye. Old school World Bold exit signs. I love them. So I just got out of Awesome Planet, and I had forgotten just how much that film feels like it came from the alternate dimension where Disney still cared about Epcot and the ideals that the park is supposed to live up to. And especially in an era where it feels like there's a cultural vibe shift going around, and not in a good way, it's nice to see, for lack of a better term, an environmentalist film here at Epcot. And it was also nice, it's narrated by Ty Burrell, who also did the narration for Colortopia, an old Innoventions exhibit that I loved dearly that's gone now, obviously because Innoventions is gone. But it's nice that he's still at Epcot. And while I was in there, the line for the boat ride got a little shorter. So I think I'm gonna go do Living with the Land, which I love dearly. Just got off of Living with the Land. I tried to stay off my phone, so I didn't really get much. I got a couple shots for the video, as you saw, obviously. But it's really one of the best rides in the whole resort, I think, not even just Epcot. It's number 2 only to Spaceship Earth to me. I'm glad that I caught it. It was a posted 30. I think I waited maybe 15. But I'm getting out of the land now. Trying to get other people out of my frame, but that's kind of difficult to do, honestly. I love the land as a pavilion. I thought about getting breakfast at Garden Grill today, but I figured it would be kind of weird to show up to that, especially since it's character dining for just one person. So I'm not doing that. Obviously, I'm not doing that. It's past breakfast time. And of course, I love the balloons and the streamers. I think the streamers should go. I think they need to do an overhaul for the building, honestly. But I like the aesthetic. I just think it's time. In the same sense that I love Test Track too, but I think it's time. I think it's time for the land to get a fourth overhaul. There's the first in the 90s and this, yeah, 4th overhaul. Because it's been basically the same since like 2005. It feels very 2005. But I love the land. I think this is far and away the best Future World Pavilion at this point. If you're coming to Epcot soon, come to the land. I'm gonna miss the land a lot. You know, I feel like I've been rambling a lot in this video, so I hope my point is coming across okay. If it isn't, I'm sorry, but at the same time, this video is kind of a secondary thing to me right now. I'm just trying to focus on enjoying the park, and then I get my phone out when like, oh, I have something I feel like I should say. And I'm gonna have to cut the rambling. I'm gonna have to get out of the park soon, but I got a pop-up on my phone saying I'm out of storage. So I realized I need to be short and concise with the rest of my video. I'm not really doing much from here anyway. I'm going to the Odyssey to get this year's Figment popcorn bucket, because you know, I'm a consumer Disney adult. They release thing with Figment on it, I gotta buy it. But I'm gonna do that, maybe walk around World Showcase a little bit. I'd like to go into the seas, but I feel like I probably won't at this rate. Yeah, the time is running out. Seeing the chalk art here reminds me of when I did the chalk art when I was a kid during, I think, the inaugural, what had to be the inaugural year of Festival of the Arts. I just doodled a bunch of old school Epcot stuff on the ground with chalk. And then the next year, or maybe the year after, somebody doodled Buzzy on the ground. And I thought that was so cool that I walked by and I saw that. And I think that was before even the whole like theft thing blew up. So that made it even more impressive. Like, dang, seeing someone else put Buzzy back in the park was so sweet. But heading to the Odyssey now. So I got a bucket. Say hi, Figment. I'm in the Odyssey now. You can see everybody here is eating. Talking about the music loops earlier with the land. One thing I love about Odyssey during Festival of the Arts is they play the old Journey into Imagination area loop. Not the boring 90s one that they now play in the restroom at Imagination, but the old 80s one. And that's playing now. That makes me really happy. The Odyssey, I love that they've made it a flex space for the festivals. I think that's a really smart use of it. A couple years ago, Odyssey Memories, they brought back the pin tables from the old Imageworks and put them back there. And those were so cool to see because growing up, my mom would tell me about how she loved those pin tables. Those were her favorite things in the Imageworks, and they never brought those back down when they reopened it in '99. And they were here, and the reason they're not here, this is really just spitballing. Obviously, this isn't confirmed, but they're really more historical relics than anything. And people treated them terribly. They ate on them, little crumbs of food got on them, and people just trashed them, and they did not come back last year. Which is really a shame because I loved seeing those. They were just as mesmerizing as my mom had told me they were. They're just these big tables full of metal pins, if you never got to do them before. And they also, up until this year, they had a little gift shop over here with art, and the gift shop's not here this year, so there's less and less stuff every year in the Odyssey, which is whatever, but now it's mostly just for popcorn bucket distribution. I like this more than the first one, but I think they kind of peaked with the last one that was the building. But I like the interior decoration in here. It's very imagination-y. I wish they'd redo the pavilion to be more in line with what the Odyssey looks like. But now that I got my bucket, I am going to head on. This is really another one of those like, wow, I'm in deep with the consumerism type purchases, because I'm just gonna buy this and it's just gonna sit on the shelf. And I think it's decent. It's cool looking, but also like I don't need it. It's not something that I felt like I had to have, but I bought it anyway. It's because it's Figment, and I buy whatever with Figment as long as it looks halfway interesting. Perhaps I have a problem. Perhaps it's for the best I'm taking a break from this park. But I'm heading into World Showcase now just to walk a little bit because I have to leave like imminently. But just to take a look at the lagoon. Another thing I forgot, the reason why I was being so cynical about this bucket is because there was a really long line for it, which I guess I should have expected because it's day one of a festival and it's the new thing. But I thought that the mobile order was supposed to negate the long line, And so I was kind of upset that I had to mobile order 2 hours ago and then still get in a big line. If I would have known there was a big line, I would not have bought this because it's not that important to me. But I feel like that's also just, it shows a larger, gosh, I don't know how to word this. Can you tell this is an unscripted video? But I think it's kind of insane to me how big Figment has gotten recently. And that's not me trying to say, oh, I was here first, I liked him before he was popular. But it is to an extent, and not the way you think. It's more, I liked Figment when he wasn't as popular, because there weren't as many people mobbing to go get this stuff. I don't care that other people like this stuff. I love that other people like this stuff. I love that he's getting a bunch of attention. But I do miss when Figment merchandise releases were not, insane. Yeah, I love that he's getting the attention. I love that we're getting more cheap plastic shit. But wild that I had to wait as long as I did, on top of mobile ordering 2 hours in advance. And that was the earliest window I could get, was 2 hours. But I had my little popcorn bucket, and now I am World Showcase Lagoon. I am here. I don't have time to walk around World Showcase. I'm gonna see if I can pop into the seas still, now that I'm skipping World Showcase. But since I'm here, I'd like to talk a little about my World Showcase memories. Most of my time at this park has been in Future World, so I don't really have many World Showcase memories. I've obviously had plenty of good times walking around, but nothing that really sticks out. What sticks out most to me is the nighttime shows in World Showcase Lagoon. I watched Illuminations so many times, love that show so much, so close to my heart. I mentioned before, I came here in 2011 on a field trip for school, and the field trip left at like 6, and my mom chaperoned that trip, and she was all excited because Epcot was always her favorite park, and she was like, I'll go with you, but we'll probably have to leave before your class. But my class ended up leaving, and we stayed till park closed, and my mom stood and watched Illuminations with me, and that is just a perfect core memory. And then on Illuminations, as last night, I had a bunch of Millennium hats. I was passing them around the lagoon because it was the Millennium show. And then when Illuminations went away, very sadly, when Epcot Forever debuted and had its like 2 or 3 different first shows and 2 or 3 different final shows, because that show kept coming and going. And then Harmonious, that was an awful show. I won't say the S word, but I watched it twice. Once was on debut night, and the second was when I got dragged to watch it again. I had no desire to see it a second time. But that opening night, I remember nobody knew when the show ended because it ended so awkwardly. And that was the same night they debuted the Points of Light on Spaceship Earth. And the show ended and everybody was silent. And then everybody turned around and saw Spaceship Earth, and there was this just collective gasp. And Disney had live streamed this show, so that's out there somewhere. You can listen in and hear the silence and then the gasp. And that is just one of the funniest moments to me, is the fact that no one really cared about the show, and then Spaceship Earth outshined everything. And Harmonious, I'm very glad it's gone, if nothing else because of the barges. The show they play now is Luminous. I watched it once. I had an obstructed view. I thought it was okay. Anything's better than Harmonious because the barges are gone. I really wanted to give Luminous another shot, but looks like that's not going to happen for a little while. Maybe it's better than I thought it was because I had such an obstructed view, but I feel like nothing's going to touch what Reflections of Earth was, both for me and for the park. But I digress. I know Harmonious somehow has its fans too. But Luminous, I think, has outlived Harmonious now. Go figure, it must not be eating into their dining and PhotoPass revenue anymore. Luminous feels like they took a second stab at Harmonious to me, really. But that is really all I have to say about World Showcase. Of course, I love World Showcase, but nothing particularly sticks out about it to me in my memories. If I walked the lagoon, I'd probably come up with some more memories to talk about, but I don't have time to walk the lagoon. I want to walk around Seabase. So I'm going to do Seabase, and then I have to leave because I have to go to work, and I don't know when I'll be back. But it's nice to see the festival booths up and to feel the breeze and walk around this little World Showcase promenade. Selling art of hurricanes feels a little tone deaf for Central Florida, not gonna lie. But I don't know if this is Disney or some outside vendor anyway. Just interesting. I guess if you're a meteorologist, maybe this is cool interior decoration. Well, I have precious little time, but I'm going to spend a few minutes inside the Living Seas. As I'm walking up, I'd like to talk about how very happy I am to see that it's been painted its original seashell color again. I remember for the longest time hearing that that was just a primer, but it's been months and they've changed how it looks on the park map, so I think it's pretty permanent now. But in 2007, they repainted it, 2007, 2008, one of the two. They repainted it this like baby blue, because like, yeah, blue ocean, but the building was made to look like a seashell, so that never looks good. But now it is back to its former glory, and maybe someday the sunrise mural, which has now been plastered, or has now had Nemo characters plastered over it and the sun painted over, perhaps that will come back. And I would have skipped the ride regardless, but it appears the ride is closed. Pro tip, you do not have to ride the ride. You can just walk in the exit to Seabase. The ride, unless you are a child, have a child, or are one of those Disney adults unhealthily obsessed with children's films, there is nothing in the ride that's interesting. What's really cool about the seas is in Seabase itself, and you can just walk in the exit, nobody will stop you. And as you come around back here, you can really see what I mean about it looks like a seashell. See, I'm very happy it's not like baby blue anymore. It was made to be this color. And what's funny is when they repainted the building before, everything except the back of the building, which you couldn't see from the park, was painted blue. And the back of the building stayed the like cream color tan. Then when they repainted this, they painted the back blue and repainted everything else the cream color, which is confusing to me, but I guess they just wanted to do a swap out. And here I am in Seabase. This is another pavilion. It keeps getting better. It's obviously far from its heyday, but I still love it quite a bit for its actual marine exhibits and the new signage, which feel very Seabase Alpha in line. It's weird walking around here after last time I was in here, I was doing a research mission for Future Port 82, taking reference photos for Seabase for us to recreate the 80s version. Whoa, eels. I love coming in here and just looking at the aquarium parts. Like, I really do not care about Nemo or whatever, but I love this. And this was the original Turtle Talk Theater, so you see the random digital screen back here before it got converted back into tank space. And Turtle Talk took over a different module in the original One of the Seas pre-show theaters. Doesn't look like much is going on here. I'm gonna go up to the observation deck. That's my favorite area in here anyway. And the manatees have been evicted, so that module is closed. Looks like the ride's back up. It's nice, I think most people see the ride is closed and they think that the whole pavilion is closed, which makes it nice and emptier for me, which I'm happy about. And I've been told through some of my Epcot friends that they're working on redoing the diver tube here and that should be fixed soon. Kind of sad I won't be around to see it fixed, but hopefully it'll stay working long enough to see it next time I'm in the park. Right now it's just empty, but divers used to be able to climb in there and then go up the tube and into the tank, which was really awesome to see whenever it worked, but it hasn't worked in years. It was much cooler too in the Seabase Alpha days when it really felt more like scientific. It kind of sticks out now, but still really cool effect. We'll be happy to see it return. Oh, escalator down too. Dang, this whole like half is closed. But at least the observation deck is open. And I love the old style Seabase Alpha window panels that have been installed recently. They're just like the old ones. I remember they tried to install more cartoony ones, then they took those down and then just went back with the old Seabase ones. They don't really fit the theme of the building anymore, but they still look cool. I also have no idea how to turn this popcorn bucket off. The cast member in front of me was explaining it to someone and I was like half paying attention. And then when they handed it to me, they were like, "And you got that, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." But I don't know how to turn it off. Ooh, it's on Disney Plus. I don't know what they're talking about. Something's on Disney Plus though. Whoa!
Hey, Evan, I'll have to go get something from the car. I'll be right back, okay? Everybody else, okay?
These guys are trained professionals, both the animals and the people in them. So please do not go up to a wild animal expecting the same behavior, because that will not happen. And a lot of animals are protected federally as well, so you can face hefty time or even jail time. So that's not fun.
I love it up here. I'm not gonna go disturb what's going on in there. That's the old UTC lounge. I've been in there a handful of times. It's a really cool space. They've got this whole clear piano in there. It's for corporate events and you can rent it out for whatever. This tunnel, the Seas Ride is down here. There used to be windows here where you could look out into the aquarium. They covered those up for the EAC scene on the current ride. But the windows are still here. Perhaps someday they will be uncovered and they'll do a better ride. Whoa, and a diver! Whoa, look at the diver. See, this is the kind of stuff I love about Epcot. Just being able to walk in here and being able to immediately see cool stuff. But anywho, I think I have exhausted my time. Oh yeah, the dolphins are gone. I forgot about that. See, yeah, the Seas has really been hitting a handful of blows recently. Say bye-bye, aquarium. And that door goes again to the UTC lounge. I've been through it once before. Down escalator. We'll see if the ride's actually loading people. Not that I care, just curious. It is not. I remember that's a photo that I forgot to get for Future Port. So any of my Future Port buddies watching, rewind the video. There's that hole in the wall you wanted to see. Seas is really having a rough day. Ride down, dolphins gone, manatees gone. Man, this was a really long, continuous take. It's like half the video is gonna be in the seas when I said earlier I didn't know if I'd even make it to the seas. But I will end off here for now. Well, I am on my walk out of Epcot now, approaching the end. I'm kind of sad I didn't get to do more, didn't get to talk more, but I'm unfortunately on a time limit, and the joys of adult responsibilities are I have to go to work. I knew I was only going to have the morning here. It's honestly pretty cool that I got to do as much as I did. Upset about not getting to talk more about Innoventions memories, but if you really want to know more, I wrote 2 big articles on my Substack recently talking about how much the closing day of that meant to me. And I also realized through this whole video, I've never really talked about why I'm getting rid of my AP in the first place. And it really boils down to 2 major reasons: time and money. One, the prices keep getting more expensive, obviously. They keep providing less experiences. And I'm coming here less. It's just, I've come here significantly less this year than I did last year or the year before that. And so I think for the amount of money I'm paying, it would be best to, what's the word? Yeah, can you tell this is unscripted? For the money I'm spending, it would be best to buy an AP when I'm able to come more. And it's not even just that I'm unable to, it's just that I'm doing more things. And then, once again, if I'm investing money in an AP and I'm doing other things, I can spend that money that I would spend on my AP on other things. And of course, Universal's opening their new park this year. I'm sure I'm going to be spending a lot of money there. I don't know how long I'm going to be without this pass. I really don't foresee myself never getting another Disney AP because these parks mean too much to me. And I was looking at their Florida resident ticket deals that they're doing this year, and when you break it down, really it's a better value for me to just buy like the bottom tier AP than it would be to buy one of those multi-day tickets. So I'm thinking maybe this summer when Test Track opens, we'll see how previews go, or just depending on how much I miss the place. I won't be gone for long, but it is going to be the biggest gap that I've had without coming here for over a decade. So it was important to me to come back out here and just say my goodbyes for a little bit. And in true Disney fashion, it's not really a goodbye as much as it's what you see on the street signs when you leave. It's a see you real soon. But I love this park to bits, even if it's honestly in a weaker state than it's ever been. But the focus there is that I love it to bits. And I'll be back. Well, it's truly been a lovely morning, lovely early afternoon. See, what did I tell you, other vloggers out here? But I think my time has come to take a break. Just enjoying existing in the entrance plaza for every second that I can stretch this to. See you real soon, buddy. I'll be back. I'm gonna grab a map and a guide. I used to collect these. Remember when these came with stickers? Oh, Figment cute. All right, well, it's over. At least for a little while. This park means a lot to me. I won't be gone forever. I'd like to end this video off looking at the plaque that was recently restored to the entrance. this is my Epcot. I don't think it's necessarily the Epcot that's here now, but this is what Epcot means, and I feel like sometimes reminders are needed. So that's all. Read the plaque. Bye bye.